everyone, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Demon. This is the Fan Show. Nothing like coming out the gates on a Tuesday and getting tongue-tied to really set the tone for the evening. But nonetheless, I thank you all for joining me. It is Tuesday. It is the start of the final Fan Show week of January. That's right, it is January 30th. Tomorrow is the 31st, and we are full steam into 2018. But sadly, that means I've only got the rest of this evening and then one more day of January on my Barbie blank, a.k.a. Kelly calendar, and then I get to flip it to a new one. What will that image be? I don't even remember, but January, that's been great. So it was a great birthday present, a great birthday present to myself. There we go. But speaking of which, there were a few things that happened over the weekend. There was the Royal Rumble, there was a Pro Bowl, and there was a couple All-Star games, so there's a lot happening in the world of sports, which is crazy to think when you think about January and how it's the first part of the calendar year, and it's almost like you're getting everything out of the way right away. But with that, now sets the stage for all eyes to be focused on, of course, Super Bowl Sunday. And I will have a guest on later. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Royal Rumble, everything like that, and of course, today I was all excited to hop on and tell you guys about day one of the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting at Full Sail University, which I am enrolled in, and was about to embark on that new journey yesterday. And it's just life. Okay, life is something special. Let me tell you, because so here's the story. So the wife and I were talking about whether or not I was going to go back to school, because she brought up wanting to go back to school, even though she has graduated with a degree in cosmetology, and she does that for a living. Like, you can't sum up a better scenario as far as going to school for something and then doing that in a short, condensed amount of time. It was a 2-year course that she did, and we had this pause a few times, so it actually ended up being over the span of like 4. But you just can't sum up any simpler somebody setting out to do something and then doing it and getting paid well to do it. And that's what she does. She cuts hair, she does nails, eyelashes, all of the above. So she went to school for that, a special school, studied her ass off, got great grades, graduated, and then hopped right into it. I haven't had the opportunity to do that. The show I pay for, unless I get a nice sponsorship deal that'll pay for it for a while. But for the most part, the traveling, the show, the production, the merchandise, everything you see comes out of my pocket. So I have to have other jobs, more than one to help pay for this, as well as the cost of just living day to day. So anyway, back to the story here. So she brings up, maybe I should go back for my bachelor's degree. She's someone who craves education. She always wants to be at the top of her game. She prefers books to movies, that whole kind of thing. She can get lost in a book easy and read it cover to cover in the span of a few nights. And I've seen her do it, and it's a beautiful thing, because it seems like kind of a lost art, right? So we were talking, and I'm just like, what would you go back for? Like what did you not do this time around this last time around that you would do now? And she's like, I don't know. I would figure something out, maybe something more along the lines of business and management, which is what I just got my associates in 2016. And I was going to go and open up a sports bar with karaoke at night. Like, that was my plan. And then the show happened. So, yeah, life, right? Anyway, so we're talking about it, and she's like, maybe you should too. I was like, I just graduated. I'm having a hard enough time finding a job and getting my foot in the door for something that I can actually utilize that degree for, because not only do all these places, specifically like office work and stuff, you go and you want to be management somewhere, they not only require the degree, but like a minimum of 3 years of experience, which everyone will tell you the experience thing they're kind of loosely defined, whatever. But still, man, I went and had a few interviews. There was a local sports pub, not like a Wild Wings or anything. They serve food and they have the NFL Sunday ticket, and they were looking for somebody that kind of had that background and personality that could run it day to day during the football season. So I went and I sat in on this interview. It's the first interview that I had since I got my degree for this type of position. And in my mind, I did better than I thought. And I know that there's me and like a dozen other people applying for this position, some probably with a lot more experience than me. But I got a very nice email back saying they were going to go with another candidate, but to not be discouraged, because I even told them in the interview, I said, look, I take these interviews not because I think I'm going to get them, but I'm just kind of gauging where I am in life with everything. And they said, no, they completely understand that. Don't sell yourself short. You did great. Your opportunity is just around the corner. So that's been the story so far. So I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I come across this ad for DP, the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting. Those of you that know me know that I'm a huge Dan Patrick fan. And the show, imitation is or whatever is the highest form of flattery. There's a lot of stuff that he does that I try to do here to give you the best possible show. I don't try to rip things straight off, but it's just like the way that he kind of goes about his interviews and talking points, and a few of his segments have inspired some of mine. But in other words, I didn't even know about what his show was like. I knew he had a show, but I didn't even know what it was until after I started my own, which is the crazy thing. So here's this advertisement. Full Sail University introduces the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting, a revolutionary new program, and this pomp and circumstance and a whole video package. And so the next morning, I wake up, I roll over, and I look at my wife. I'm like, I think I'm going back to school. She's like, what? And I pulled it up and I show her, and she's like, oh my God. And I said, that is exactly right, because God has an amazing way of putting things in front of you. So this was back in October. I go through all the motions. I apply. They call me. They do this interview kind of screening process with me over the phone, and I tell them my story. And this girl is just like feverishly typing everything, and she's just like, that is incredible. And I told her about the tour I went on last year, how I was planning another one, how I do this show from home in a homemade studio, and I built it from the ground up. And so she waived my $75 application fee, which was huge because we didn't have that at the time. And I was just like, what else can we throw into this mess? Then it was game on from there. I got accepted. Went through, it was a lot of phone tag, a lot of back and forth. Do I have this form in? Did I get this signed? Did I do this and this and this? I mean, this is the first of its kind program. It's the first time that they're going to be doing this. So there was a lot of, learning curves, growing pains. And so we get through everything. I get approved for the loans and the financial aid and the scholarships. And I was supposed to start yesterday. And I have credits from when I was at Eastern Washington University that I want to transfer over, because that takes, that cushions some of the blow financially. And if they can give you a little money back for this program, it's going to be about 3.5 years of my life. And I get this email yesterday that says we have to push your start date back to March 26th, unless you want to defer transferring your credits. So I was a little upset, confused. Things like, I'm like, what the hell? So I call them and I speak with the highest up person that I can in their enrollment team. And I said, look, we've been back and forth on this thing. It's all been on me since I enrolled in October, making sure that this is done, that this is taken care of. And I felt like I've been pretty much on top of everything. And then to go and get ready and be prepared to start today, and now you guys say that you aren't ready, it just seems, kind of frustrating, because, I mean, this is on you guys. This isn't on me. They understood. Me transferring credits basically means that at the point in the program that I would start, they are not there yet. Yesterday, they were ready for brand spanking new students, pretty much never stepped foot onto a college campus or into a college classroom whatsoever. And that's not me. I'm a bit further than that, despite that there's not much from my previous degree in previous school that applies to this. There's enough that I am at about 2 months in. So I said, obviously, financially, it's smarter if I go and I do this thing and I wait and I could save some money. But man, I was ready to go yesterday. I was. I lost some sleep. I was psyching myself out. I was ready to just go and tackle it and let this thing go. But until March 26th, which I asked the $1,000,000 question, how do I know we're not having this same conversation March 26th? She said we should be in good shape by then. So I trust in Full Sail. You guys haven't done me wrong up until this point. So, I'm not a person who will refuse to go back to a restaurant that I've frequented because of one bad experience. Okay, if I go to a place one time and have a bad experience, that's a different story. But if I go there and I have 2, 3 bad experiences, I probably won't go there anymore. But one bad experience, it's just not enough if you have otherwise had very pleasant experience dealing with that place. And this, in terms of a restaurant, happens to be a college university. So Full Sail is postponed till March. Gives me some time to focus more energy and effort on the start of the tour, which first stop, bought, paid for. I will fly into Phoenix, Arizona, February 24th. Game is on the 25th, and I'll come back the 26th. And then the next stop, a few weeks later, in Des Moines, Iowa, for the Barnstormers home opener. And then we've got about 1 to 2 stops a month until August, so that should be a whole lot of fun. I got a lot of production going into this, a lot of money going into it, so I'm very excited about it. But enough about me and my fiasco from yesterday. We've got headlines to get through. Let's do it. And the headlines are that there was a Pro Bowl on Sunday and the AFC won. They came back and won. Look, the skills challenge is the best part of the Pro Bowl for me. Let's be honest. It's kind of like the grown-up version of Legends of the Hidden Temple, or like a dumbed-down version of American Gladiators kind of thing. It's fun. We see a huge fan base for American Ninja Warrior, and that's kind of what the Pro Bowl. How many times am I going to screw that up today? Skills challenges. I don't care so much about the game. It's glorified flag football. They might as well throw on T-shirt jerseys or jerseys with no pads and the helmets just for show, because we love helmets, do we not? We love that thing, that logo, that helmet. We all want to wear one. So throw on the jerseys, put on some shorts, cleats, helmets, and just go out and have, really intense flag football, because that's what it boils down to. But the skills challenge, oh my goodness, I recorded that. I sat down, I got some popcorn, I was in, I was locked in, and I'm kind of, you're gonna hear me say this, I'm disappointed in the coverage of the skills challenge, because we knew all the winners beforehand. Now, I'm not doing any Vegas style gambling on the skills challenge, but it would be nice to watch it in real time as it happens, and for them to not edit out so much. I think it's like something that it goes all day long, and they edit it all the way down to like a half hour. I don't know. I thought it was going to go for longer, and then all of a sudden it was over, and they were crowning a champion, and I was like, oh, well then. But my new favorite event, I love it. Kick-tack-toe, which is a goalpost with a tic-tac-toe board in it that 2 kickers are trying to get 3 in a row on. And I am sold on this. How this hasn't come up before, it's 2018, how this idea hasn't come up until now is a mystery. But the bigger mystery, now that we have it, why aren't we settling overtime with that? Okay, I don't care about college style and starting from the 20-yard line, or if you want to go 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. If you want to each take turns having a possession, give me kick-tac-toe out there, okay? You're done in 5 minutes. Kicker versus kicker. It's going to really make the Bears, the Bucks, the Chargers, and all those teams think about signing Roberto Aguayo or Blair Walsh. I mean, Seahawk fans, if you guys were pissed off about having Blair Walsh all season, if you guys would have had your first overtime and he screws up, he probably would have been gone by then, because it's like, this is. I mean, I know it's extremely gimmicky, but oh my God, like, the kicker would feel so important again. Oh, I loved it. I really did. I can't get over kick-tac-toe. Bill Belichick was quoted saying that what makes this Super Bowl different from his previous 7? This one's in Minnesota. I can't even do a good Belichick. It's just, so this one's in Minnesota, and that's great. The 2 Bills is coming up on the next ESPN 30 for 30. One day after the Cleveland Indians announced they would no longer use Chief Wahoo as a symbol after this season, Roger Goodell told Gulkin Wingo that he did not see anything changing with the Washington Redskins nickname. God, can we stop being so politically correct and oversensitive? I do love that when you look at the situation like with the Redskins, that one, okay, it just started being like a thing, like a sensitive, like, why is this, like 2 years ago? Like, why not in the very beginning? 2, it's more white people saying that they're uncomfortable with the name and upset over it than actual Native Americans. And that to me is just funny. Let's see here. Louis Riddick was quoted saying the 2 Bills, which is the next ESPN 30 for 30, as I mentioned, best football documentary I have ever watched for many reasons. If you love football or think you do, or if you don't, you will appreciate the story. It is that good. Blake Griffin got traded in basketball news, I guess. Oh, let's see here. Oh, is there anything else good on here? Let's see here. So, Titans have filled both coordinator spots with former Rams OC Matt LaFleur as their offensive coordinator and former Rams DC Dean Pease as their defensive coordinator. Mike Vrabel is off to a great start. And let's see here. Pro Bowl drew 8.6 million viewers, according to Richard Deitch, for ESPN ABC, up 15% from 2017. That would rank as the number 7 most watched regular season college football game in 2017. So that's a bit odd comparison there. Jaguars quarterback Blake Bortles underwent wrist surgery Friday for a lingering issue. Roger Goodell is apparently concerned about the NFL's catch rule and looking at ways to improve it. This is what I was talking about. Will the NFL, not necessarily Roger Goodell, but will the NFL lose sleep over the announcement of the XFL? Because their whole thing is about simplifying the game, giving the game back to the fans for what we want, which is less penalties and explanation and more action and scoring. And now to see this, to see news like that, you have to wonder. You really do. And the Vince McMahon being accused of sexual assault, look, nobody is above this Me Too thing or whatever else is happening out there in the world right now with media and men, which, hey, listen to me. I'm right there. But I'm not losing any sleep. I'm not dripping beads of sweat over this. But we all knew something with Vince McMahon was going to happen. And I thought maybe not, because he's the guy that's been so outspoken and has had some character and storylines and gimmicks where he was that kind of womanizer guy. But I don't know. So you have the announcement of the XFL, and then this resurfaces, because this happened back in 2006 at a tanning salon. And I don't know. It's you can't get around it now. You can't avoid these things and duck and cover and whatever now. Like, once it's news, it's like your state of execution. And Vince McMahon, I think, will be the toughest test yet to see just how well, if that's the right word choice, but just how much of an impact these will have in 2018. And that is a really high bar, and that is a really big impact. I mean, Matt Lauer. And then I thought, well, it's only a matter of time before Al Michaels and maybe Bob Costas. I had more money on Al Michaels, but Vince McMahon, this is going to be the big one, the true test. So speaking of which, that pretty much sums it up for the football side of things. Now, as far as the nonsense, the Super Bowl of all things rock and roll 8 is up and running. Round 2 is today. Round 1 was fantastic. There was only one upset, and that was Fozzy Rock. A big shout out to Fozzy and Chris Jericho for retweeting their matchup against Alice in Chains. It's always great to have the bands participate. For those of you that don't know, quick history is that the Super Bowl of all things rock and roll is a little tournament that I started 7 years ago. This is its 8th year, and it was done on my Facebook. And it was 64 bands that I just picked out of my iTunes playlist because another radio station did it with 16. And I kind of thought that the bands that they did were a little shoddy. And when Nickelback won, I was like, no, this is not right. So Nickelback has never been in the tournament ever, and it will never, ever be in the tournament. And so I had 64 bands ranging from everywhere from like Foo Fighters to Metallica to Blink-182 and Mayday Parade, and it was great. My friends loved it. A lot of us have similar interests, so there was a bit kind of skewed voting, a smaller demographic, but hey, you got to start somewhere. So Blink-182 won. They were up against the Foo Fighters. Next year was a rematch. Foo Fighters would come out on top. Next year was another rematch, and Blink-182 took it back. And then next year, the Foo Fighters won, and I don't believe it was over Blink-182. And then Queen, and then the Foo Fighters again. They've done every other year. They're a 3-time champion. And then Rush last year. And it's just been so much fun to do and watch this thing grow and evolve. More and more people will hit me up during and after saying, I can't wait for the next one. Hey, here's some bands that you should have in there. So what started out is 64 bands that I threw in there into this bracket. I go to the same site every year. Off of my iTunes library has now evolved into, it's done exclusively on Twitter because of the Twitter polls. So that's a huge advantage to being on Twitter, and that's where a majority of my following is. So I put it all on Twitter. You guys go, you click, you vote one time. You can share, you can retweet, you can comment, whatever. And it's broken up into a full week, the week of the Super Bowl. Makes perfect sense. And there's now 4 categories. So it's not chaos anymore. It's 4 categories. You have rock, which is like today's rock. So like Foo Fighters. Metallica is classic rock, but I have my own personal cutoff, and I don't believe that they're classic rock just yet. But of course, Chevelle, Linkin Park, things like that. Then you have classic rock, which has like the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, the bands that you would honestly figure are, in fact, classic rock. And then you have the alternative rock category, and that has the bands that you really don't know which one they fit into better. They're obviously not classic rock yet, but are they rock? Are they punk rock? No, they're kind of something else. 30 Seconds to Mars, great example. My Chemical Romance. Weezer is another alternative rock band, so there you have those. And then, of course, in the punk or pop punk category, you have bands like Green Day, Blink-182, Social Distortion, Rancid, the Ramones. So it's great, and there's always a few bands that get left out each year, and I usually try to base that on, who got just blown out the year before, who deserves a second chance. Back by popular demand, first time ever. This is Fozzy's first time ever in the tournament, and I love it. I think that they did really well, but there was only the one upset. All previous champions, Rush, Queen, the Foo Fighters, and Blink-182, have advanced to the second round. And then, of course, Blink-182 and the Foo Fighters had the highest percentage of win, 90% of the votes, and that was crazy. But you guys have been awesome. You've been participating very, very well. And I thank you for doing that. So now we have round 2 of the Super Bowl of all things rock and roll. And it isn't broken up into 2 days like round 1 was, which that was kind of a new thing this year, and it seemed to go a lot smoother. So here's what we've got for round numero dos. In the rock category, Metallica taking on Avenged Sevenfold. And Metallica was a 1 seed, Avenged Sevenfold an 8 seed. The number 2 matchup for the rock category is number 5 seed Rage Against the Machine against number 4 seed the Foo Fighters. Matchup number 3 in the rock category is number 11 Fozzy and number 3 seed Pearl Jam. Fozzy will not face a lower seed throughout the rest of this tournament because they were the only upset so far in the tournament. Then the fourth and final one for the rock category is number 7 Linkin Park against number 2 Nirvana. Then the classic rock category, number 1 Rush against number 8 Def Leppard. Second matchup is number 5 Aerosmith against number 4 Queen. Matchup number 3 is number 6 Guns N' Roses and number 3 AC/DC. And number 4 for the classic rock category is number 7 Journey and number 2 Led Zeppelin. For the pop punk category, number 1 Green Day against number 8 Newfound Glory. Second matchup is the Ramones, a 5 seed, against the Offspring, a 4. Matchup number 3, number 6 seed Sum 41 against Fall Out Boy, number 3. And the fourth one for the pop punk and punk pop category is number 7 Social Distortion against number 2 Blink 182. Then we have the alternative rock category, number 1 Weezer against number 8 Panic at the Disco. And number 5, My Chemical Romance against number 4, Jimmy Eat World. Number 6, The Killers versus number 3, Oasis. And I believe I'm missing one for the alternative round, which, that's odd. Where did it go? Well, I'm not sure what's going on with this. Well, I'll try to find it, because, yeah, there should be one more. But we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break then. You guys can go and vote for those right now. And we will be back with more of the Fan Show and my guest right after this.
This is The Sheet.
Gets me all revved up. My face is now red. My ears are just freaking boiling.
He's so raw that Sky hates him.
Yeah, he had 51 touchdowns, 4,900 total yards.
I know y'all like that, but I got to run. And only in Alabama that could happen, I have to say.
They're so good, man. They would win the Big Ten if they were in the Big Ten.
You could be doing something vision-based in front of you and reach down and grab a handful of insane goodness.
Give it to him. Kudos. I'm clapping like a golfer. Very good, Johnny. I'm proud of you.
Wow. You guys agree on something again? I'm very impressed. You ever had a bad week? You know, just you walk outside, step in a puddle, like right when you walk outside. I mean, how does a puddle right outside your house? Or you stand on the curb and somebody drives by and splashes water up on you? Or it's just raining on you, not anyone else?
I will tell you, before you go any further, I cannot hear Chad when he speaks.
Good. You're listening to The Sheet, man. I don't really know what we're doing.
Every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. right here on WBLZ Sports.
Whether it be your industrial, commercial, or residential needs, Gen Service is the electrical contractor for you. The Gen Service team has the expertise, commitment, and educational years to help you solve all your electrical concerns. They have you in their best interest with helpful suggestions to accommodate your every want. Give them a call, no matter the size of the job, at 740-438-7173. Mention WBLZ Sports, and you'll get a discount. That's Gen Service, 740-438-7173.
This is Nick Ficarelli, the mad scientist of sports. Join me and Dr. D, Derek Jones, live every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, for the Mad Scientist Sports Lab. The big intellect, the experiments on the chalkboard, and the guest subjects will be rolling in. Mad Scientist Sports Lab, only on WBLZ Sports, where we got balls.
Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. He has over 30 years of painting experience. He's interior, exterior, commercial, or residential. Doug Peffer covers it all. Is your house looking ugh? We'll call on Doug. Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361. Mention WBLZ Sports and get a special We've Got Balls discount. That's Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361.
Check out Thursday Night Tailgate, where NFL legends live on. We bring you 5 NFL legends every week, sharing their stories and insights, plus our spotlight on the positive. Hear which players are doing great things in their communities. now on WBLZ Sports Talk Radio and WBLZSports.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and with me is Mr. Philip Robinson III. He wanted to talk all about the Royal Rumble, which is why I saved that particular portion of the show until now. Phil, welcome back. How you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful. I enjoyed watching the pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble. It was interesting. It was interesting and definitely something to watch, to say the least.
So I know that you have some thoughts on it, which we haven't talked any of it on the show yet. So let's go ahead and do a quick recap. I'll give you my thoughts, and then I know that you have some, so we can go ahead and hear those and see what we would give this overall. But Shinsuke Nakamura won the Men's Rumble. It was down to him, Roman Reigns, John Cena, and Finn Balor in the Final Four. And that was, of course, the first Rumble of the night. The main event went to the women, which a lot of people thought was a smart move by WWE in giving them kind of the main event spotlight for this history-making moment. That one was won by Asuka, and that came down to her and Nikki Bella, and I forget what the final 4 or 5 were in there. I know that the Bella twins were around for a while, so it was Trish Stratus and Sasha, but Asuka came out on top. And then we had Brock Lesnar retain his title. AJ Styles retain his title as well. The Bar defeated Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan to win and become the new Raw Tag Team Champions again. And the Usos retained their SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Now, for me, I thought it was great. What made it better than good for me was the fact that in previous Rumbles, you have what seems like an hour of where they get to a point that it's legend after legend after legend, and they come in and they're in there for like 30 seconds to a minute, and then they're done. And you know, even as like a passionate fan, that there's no real chance that they have of winning, and it seems like a wasted spot when you, at the end of the night, you look back and be like, why weren't so-and-so in there? I mean, even if they don't have like a real shot, it would be great to have them featured in the Rumble because they're a full-time guy and they deserve to have kind of that spotlight to start the year off. And so there wasn't really any of that. Goldust came out, but he's been a regular and active member of the roster for Raw. The Hurricane came back, which I thought was a great cameo, and then Rey Mysterio was in there. Other than that, you had great talent from top to bottom in the men's Royal Rumble, and then the Final Four was good. And Shinsuke won, which it was his first Rumble and his first win. So for the men's, I give it an A+. And that was just because there weren't a lot of dead spots where people came out that you kind of wondered, why is this person entering the Rumble? So I thought it flowed very well.
Into the ending to me was good. I was happy to see somebody new winning Rumbles. I won't say that it always bothers me when I see repeaters win the Rumble, because God knows I loved every second of Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels doing it. But to me, I think that towards about 15 to maybe 13 to 20 was kind of stagnant, where it was just kind of guys that every time the clock rolled down, it looked like dudes were having a break in the ring. And it was good action. Some of those guys left early. Some of those guys didn't. I like the fact that there weren't that many legends coming in to the Rumble. That it was all the talent that they have on the roster. Because WWE's got a lot of talent. My opinion is they have more talent than they know what to do with.
Yeah, very true, very true.
But I love Shinsuke. I loved him from the second he came into the WWE. I didn't see that much of him in NXT. I need to brush up on that, because from what I've been hearing, that seems to be the better the better product at this time.
NXT has been very impressive, and I'm doing that as well, so I can tell you you're in for quite the wild ride, because NXT started out as a glorified Tough Enough for its first, 3 or 4 seasons, and then it finally morphed, not even, casually, but just very suddenly and without any rhyme or reason, into kind of what you see today. But I'm at about year 2014, so I'm about to see the debut of Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, and a few others, where Charlotte and a few others have just made their debut, and Sami Zayn has been a real popular star in there. So it's been fun to go back and catch up on everything and see it for the first time that way. But, I love Shinsuke too. I think he is one of the best talents on the SmackDown roster, and I know how much people want him versus AJ Styles. But in all honesty,
man.
I feel that it would have been a better moment for Finn Balor just because of everything that he's been through since he had to vacate the Universal title.
I could definitely see that. Definitely could see that, but my problem with that was where he started at number 2, I believe.
Yeah.
And where he was with everybody left in the Rumble, it was like, okay, at some point he's got to go. With HBK, you could see, and Stone Cold, they were still going strong towards the end, and Finn had some moments where he was resting up and letting others take the spotlight, if you will. But to be 100% honest, Finn is an individual competitor. Much better individual competitor than in a Rumble, in a ring with a bunch of dudes. Yeah, it's good to look at, but the match him and AJ Styles had, and then you put his effort in it doesn't even compare to the Royal Rumble effort, because that match was platinum. It passed gold.
Yeah, I did like that Shinsuke was number 14, and so they didn't have a winner that started in the 20s, because I always feel like, I don't think that a winner should have to start at 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5. But, every time you get to the 20s and you start to kind of get into the home stretch of star power, you kind of start to feel for the guys that have been in there, right around the middle that are working their tail off. And so I was glad to see somebody from literally right in the middle at 14 and Shinsuke win it, because I think that that's a really good number to be at, to show that, one, you've got the endurance to go the distance, and then 2, to kind of keep yourself in there and active and keep it entertaining. So that was a nice touch too, I thought.
So let me get your thoughts on Baron Corbin. Is that one of the most misused superstars on the roster, or what? I thought when he came in, I thought he was getting ready to do damage, and then with a blink of an eye, he's out and clear in the ring after I don't know if you saw it. I put up a tweet saying, "Well, if you can clear the ring after you get tossed out, you ought to be able to get a mulligan."
It was interesting to me because I've never been a big Baron Corbin fan, and I don't know if it's failure on his end to seize opportunities, or he's just been put in really shitty situations where it seems like he's not getting proper use of his opportunities. But you look at the Rumble from start to finish, and you had the Baron Corbin moment, and then you had the Dolph Ziggler moment. And I think if you were going to talk about, as a whole, missed opportunities, there was a huge missed opportunity with Dolph Ziggler, and I think for him to return was great. Now, I saw a tweet that I thought was very funny from a guy that said that the biggest missed opportunity was not having Dolph Ziggler come out to Daniel Bryan's music to have the record scratch and then switch. And I don't know, man, if you want to take it a step further, hit CM Punk's music and then record scratch, because that pop, that crowd, I think you could probably hear hearts breaking all over the world if that would have been the case at number 30. But Ziggler coming back was good. Baron Corbin going in there and clearing out the ring. I just don't know what their plan is with this guy. He doesn't really seem to fit anywhere. Like, the fans haven't fully accepted him as a heel or a legitimate talent, and I just don't know where most of the fault lies in that situation, if it's on Baron Corbin or if it's with creative. I mean, SmackDown's supposed to be where they properly utilize their talent, because it's not Vince pushing the big tall guy up to the top spot. So I tend to think that something isn't clicking right with Baron Corbin, but it's a new year, and we'll see what they have in store for him.
No, I definitely hear you. It's something. It is definitely something that needs looking into. And that brings me back to what I said earlier about them having multiple, but too much talent for the rosters, because not everybody's getting pushed the right way. We'll get into my ultimate travesty later, because we haven't built up to that properly. But to me, with the thing with Baron Corbin is he's been in a lot of situations where he was there for the moment, and they chose to go the other way with it instead of giving it to him. You think The Miz, you think Dolph Ziggler's run. Both of those guys, hands down, couldn't stand in the ring with Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is a what was he, a bare knuckle fighter, or he has golden gloves? Excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the issue that I have is that, you know, you get in here and you get so hyped up on guys' legacies, and the thing with fandom is, like, you want to know what fans want to see. They want to see either somebody spinning like a drum and flying all over the place, or somebody getting their ass kicked. And if you're doing the ass kicking, you don't need a gimmick. Hell, Stone Cold made it off a regular 9-to-5 gimmick with "Hate Your Boss." drink beer, flip everybody off, beat the shit out of your boss. That dude is a legend.
Yeah.
So it really boils down to just consistency. You can't have a guy who give him a push, and then in the next week decide, you know what, we're gonna push somebody else now.
I think for me, the problem with Corbin lies in his character, because if you look at some of the best heels in the last year and right now, there's a lot of flash and flair. The Miz is hands down the best heel that WWE has on its roster right now, and it's because he owns it. Now, the fans respect him, the fans like him, but when it comes time to turn on being a heel, like, nobody does it better. And I feel like on SmackDown, Dolph Ziggler is that kind of heel, where he's a flashy show-off, and he can bring it if he needs to, but the fans, they respect his in-ring talent, and they like him overall, but he can still be a heel. With Baron Corbin, it's like, what is he? Is he like, he looks like he's fresh out of a trailer park, or just out of the shower. And I don't know. Like, has he not had a match long enough where people can appreciate his in-ring ability? Is it his character? There's just something isn't clicking with the fan base, and it's not that he's a heel. It's just that they don't like him for some reason. Like, that's the vibe that I get.
He's here to show the world. He's here to show the world.
All right, let's talk about the women's side of things, because I know that was probably the one of the hotter button topics from the evening, because Asuka won, which was the popular pick. I was hoping Becky Lynch would, but Asuka, she gets the streak. She gets the first ever Women's Royal Rumble win. So what else will Asuka get? Because she is apparently that star in Vince's mind. But Becky, I thought, was eliminated so early, and it really threw me off and confused me, because she was a popular pick for a lot of people, and then you had her make an early, like, she wasn't even a Final Four, and then to have it come down to Asuka and Nikki Bella. I mean, Nikki winning, I guess, would have been okay, but there probably would have been a lot of people saying, well, that's just because you're John Cena's fiance, which, hey, I don't blame them. But so Asuka wins, and then you have that moment where Charlotte and Alexa Bliss come out to the ring. And I thought that they missed an opportunity right there, because in every other thing that you've seen with the women and all that they've done, especially on the NXT level, is that they value their big moments. And so I thought Stephanie,
Yes.
being ringside, was going to come into the ring, raise her hand. Maybe Triple H would come out and congratulate her. All the women would come back to the ring and maybe give her a round of applause. But then I remembered, in NXT, you get the feel-good moments. On the main roster, no, they shit on your feel-good moments, and that's when Ronda Rousey's music hit.
Oh my God! You want to talk about complete that right there? And I don't want to over dramatize this, even though I'm going to anyway. To me, that killed the women's Royal Rumble. They had a really, really good thing going, and like you said, that moment was primed. She's pointing to WrestleMania. She's come from New Japan Wrestling, worldwide star. She's going face to face. She didn't even get a chance to make her decision like Shinsuke did. But yeah, you bring out Ronda Rousey, who doesn't say a fucking word. Just what the hell was the point of that? If she was gonna come out and she should have opened the Royal Rumble. Hell, she should have introduced the first two competitors. She could have done any number of things except for show up and steal the moment of somebody who's worked for it in this business their entire life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, I was really, really upset with that because I think I'm not even gonna put that on creative. I'm gonna put that on the higher ups. The higher ups for promotion have got to understand their product better than that, and know that in this historical moment, you don't cheapen a historical moment with your carnival show. I mean, yes, they say Rousey's here full time until the first time she beats somebody up or pulls a shoulder out, or lo and behold, she gets hurt because she misplants because somebody drops her on her head or something.
Yeah, what's really funny to me is that, I was waiting for it because when Asuka won and Charlotte and Alexa went into the ring, I was just like, this is too good to be true. And I was right, because when they had the Money in the Bank women's ladder match, Ellsworth grabs it and drops it down to Carmella, and then they have a do-over on SmackDown Live like the next week or 2 weeks later, and it's just like, you guys don't even realize what you have, and then you just go and ruin it. So I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
I really wasn't. I guess I'm used to it.
And that was my end of the match travesty. My in-ring assessment of the Women's Royal Rumble was excellent. That was a treat to watch for somebody who's been watching wrestling 20 plus years, to finally get to see that, and watch all the old legends come back and get involved in this match because they never got to do it. I mean, because you got to think, the Trish Stratus, the Litas, the Mary Kellys, the Molly Holly, all them ladies are 40 plus years old out there trying to make it happen at least one last time, because that was an opportunity that they never got.
Yes.
And so for that I was super pumped. I was glad that they did it, because I was quite frankly, I was trying to think of who were the 30 that they had. But that was a really, really feel good moment about that. But then we get to my majorest beef. At some point, the WWE is going to have to stop shitting on Nia Jax. I'm tired of watching the entire roster have to eliminate one person because they refuse to give her the strap. They refuse to let her even challenge in a legitimate match for the strap.
Yeah.
No, there's not a woman on that roster who could beat her. and they won't let her have that opportunity.
Yeah.
I think now that her thing with her and Baron Corbin have the same issue, which is mic work. And to the WWE, that's crucial. They value the mic work more than they do the in-ring ability.
Which is funny that you say that, because I think people like Nia more than they like Baron Corbin, but it's been a failure on creative.
I love Nia, yeah. Yeah, I love Nia, and honestly, it frustrates me to watch her come in and be as dominant as she was through the Rumble, because she came in midway through, and I thought for sure she was going to coast.
Yep.
And what's worse about it is you know it's going to happen, because she sets it up horribly, because you can watch it all unfold and be like, here it comes, here it comes, here it comes, and there it is.
Yeah. So overall, the quality of matches is not in question. You and I both agree that the quality of talent and superstars and flow of everything, they executed very well for what was the main attraction, and that was both the men's and women's Royal Rumble. It was the execution of all the extras, which is what essentially makes WWE, that they continue to fall short on, and I just don't understand why it's so hard to grasp what would work. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But then again, the XFL is making a comeback in 2020. Is that going to work? Is the XFL going to work, Phil?
Now, it's funny that you say that, because to me, when you think XFL, you think of the clown show that it was when it first came out, because I can tell you, I still haven't forgot the opening coin flip thingy to the very first one, where dude promptly promptly separated his shoulder.
Yeah.
That was I don't even have words for that. That was a spectacle. But here's where the XFL can succeed. If they were to go back to playing regular football by the old school rules, their popularity would explode.
But isn't that almost counterproductive to what WWE has been? Because I'm not saying anything as far as a rating, like a TV PG or TV MA. I'm talking about the fact that when it comes to concussions and health, the NFL and the WWE have been very, very different. The NFL, you can have 10 concussions, and as long as you can remember what your last name is, you can go out there and play. But if you so much as get 2 in wrestling, you're stuck on commentary. So I worry about you saying if they go back to old school, because that's where a lot of this stuff kind of originated from, was, the fast-paced, hard physicality of gridiron football.
No, I hear you, and that will be it will be interesting how it plays out, because Vince has been on the record saying there ain't no gimmicks. This is straight up football. More along the lines of a U.S. football kind of thing, instead of the XFL. He brought the name back, but I imagine he's seen the shortfalls of the NFL, and he's going to try to use his expertise and his way of navigating other shortcomings to turn that into a benefit for him. And like I said, the easiest way for the XFL to be successful with fans is to change the rules back to the way they were.
So here's a couple of questions for you about the XFL that I feel you'll have a pretty good insight on. I saw a tweet asking where, if you could pick one city to have an XFL team, where would be the best one? I went ahead and located all 8 of their teams, because I figured it's got to have something. The cities have got to be popular not only for football, but for WWE as well. So I said Chicago is an obvious place. Orlando, I think Philly is another good place. You can have probably somewhere in Texas. I don't know if it's Dallas or San Antonio. Probably San Antonio, though. And then you have New York, probably as far as the Midwest goes. I mean, you have Chicago, and then, of course, one in Dallas. But I don't think there would be an LA team, but Oakland. Do you think Oakland would be a good home for XFL, because it's about to lose its NFL team?
Oakland and St. Louis for sure would be exactly where I put an NFL team or an XFL team.
Yep.
New York, I know Hartford is supposed to have a team too. A buddy of mine has actually got a job as a scout. Then Orlando, one of the Florida teams. Austin actually would probably be a better spot for it. They do really well in Texas. The WWE does really well in Texas, and I believe New Orleans will get one as well.
That was another one that I had listed too. Yeah, it was New Orleans. But Oakland, that's kind of an interesting spot because I thought about Vegas, but Vegas is going to get the Raiders, so why not go to Oakland with the XFL? Oakland is football town, one of them.
Oh, yeah, Oakland or San Francisco, but my guess would probably be Oakland. They may even do San Jose, who knows? San Jose's got all the money.
Yeah, it does.
San Jose and San Francisco, that's where all the money is.
But I could see Vince giving football back to Oakland in the form of an XFL team. So it'll be interesting to see how the next 2 years play out because a lot of people were excited to have XFL back because they wanted the gimmick back. But Vince has brought the name and the brand back, but he's changing the rules. And the most, the biggest question that I have for you as someone who covers football is, do you think, not necessarily Roger Goodell, because Roger Goodell, he is his own man, he's in his own little world, much like Vince is, but is the NFL losing any sleep over the announcement of the XFL because they've extended Goodell for 4 more years, and we all know how much the fans dislike him, and Vince, in his first press conference, went and pretty much took shots at everything that people have openly said they do not like about the NFL. If you're the NFL, are you losing any sleep the next 2 years?
No.
No?
No. You can. Well, you also have to remember where the direction that Vince's first product went. He didn't make it out of. He made it out of his first year, and that was it.
Yeah.
So Vince has got to solve his profitability issues and his longevity issues before he can legitimately be a concern for the NFL. Now, citing those issues, the NFL is losing viewership, if I could talk right, is losing viewership, and like I said earlier, if he can come out and show that the rules are the way that they used to be, he has a very good shot at converting all those viewers over to the XFL and drawing interest that way. Because like we said, there's no cheerleaders, there's no gimmicks, there's nothing but straight football.
Well, I think football needs to have cheerleaders, but that's just me. That's the 90s kid at heart that grew up loving cheerleaders as a boy.
I mean, yes, the Gold Rush, the Raiderettes, and the Cowgirls. How could we ever forget?
Oh, you could never forget. That's the important thing. Well, Phil, I appreciate you taking some time this evening to come back and talk some wrestling, Royal Rumble thoughts, and then, of course,
Man,
the XFL.
hold on, Tricky Dicky, hold on. We didn't even get to Brock and Braun.
Is that really even
Okay.
much to discuss? I mean, it was a 5-minute match.
God, it is. Man, you forgot. Did you not see the shoot fighting that went on inside the ring?
Okay,
in the middle of the match?
Let me be completely honest with you right now. When I turned into the Royal Rumble and I saw how this thing was going to play out, and I watched the matches and then the men's and then the break, and they were about to start the Kane and Lesnar and Strowman match, that was my bathroom break because I thought that was the most predictable, biggest waste of time match on the entire card. Not even kidding. So that, I mean, if you want to talk about the way that pay-per-views and shows have been structured before, for someone to say that the Universal Championship match in a triple threat was their bathroom break should put some real perspective on where the WWE is and the Raw brand specifically in 2018.
Richard, you speak true, but in your bathroom break, you managed to miss the most real action of the night. Because in your bathroom break, you didn't see Braun take his massive tree trunk legs and slam it directly into the side of Brock's head. So much so that Brock gave him one left short of the 3-piece special and nearly knocked him out in the ring.
I did see the replay, and I will say that is more on Lesnar than it is on Strowman. And that is reaction, that is instinct, and that is a problem that WWE is going to have to address because they've just signed Ronda Rousey, and she will be no different.
Absolutely, she was. She will be, but watching Brock, like you said, it's 100% on him because you could tell that while it was legit, it was still pretty high up in the leg to where it should have been okay. It's just that Braun's leg is so fucking incredibly large that I can't say that I blame Brock. If he kneed me in the side of the head, I probably would have thrown about 3 or 4 punches before I realized what I was doing too. Because he rocked him. He rocked him. There was no doubt about it. When he got up, he was rocked. He was all hell. Wait a minute.
But that's kind of the danger that you're flirting with in the world of sports and entertainment when you get these guys that are jumping back and forth. And I know that with Rousey, she's not a part-timer or so she says, but she was in the game of MMA longer than Lesnar was. And for me to think that she's just going to be able to hop in a World Wrestling Entertainment ring and turn that instinct off, that's going to be tough because Brock busted open John Cena's lip the first night back in WWE after his initial stint in MMA. And I was like, this is bad. I mean, this is great because it's real, but this is bad because this is a guy who can legitimately knock someone out if he actually wants to.
Yeah, hurt badly.
Yes.
Quickly at that.
Yeah.
Because at least in the UFC, everybody that he was squaring up against was his size.
Yep.
But the thing about Ronda that I like better about that I think will be different is that her background in judo. That is a wrestling, a tossing, and a submission type of style, which would be more conducive to this particular enterprise than perhaps Brock's bruiser style, because his was jump on top of you and maul you. Because when it came to the UFC, for as decorated as his wrestling was, in the UFC, his wrestling wasn't good enough.
Yeah, he was a great grappler in NCAA, but he is just a flat-out fighter. And I understand what you're saying about Rousey, but I just worry about the first time she finds herself thrown into the turnbuckle and is down in that corner getting stomped. I worry about her hitting that fight or flight mode and just comes out swinging.
Yeah, that could be bad. It's a good thing that she lost some zip on that old right, so somebody might be able to take it better than they used to be able to, but...
All right, Phil, well, if that's all you've got, then that's all we've got here on the show, and I do thank you again for being on and for, venting about your frustrations with WWE, but it was overall a fun and entertaining talk, and I thank you for that.
No problem. Pleasure was all mine, Richard.
All right, we'll have you on again soon, man. Just because football season's about to be over doesn't mean that you and I have to stop talking, so I'm sure we'll find plenty more to discuss. So you have a good rest of your night, my friend.
All right, bud. Take it easy.
You too. That was Philip Robinson III. He does some NFL coverage for the Raiders, which is why I thought it was very interesting for, WWE. They're looking at cities that they want to go to. Why not Oakland? Oakland, yeah. So you can go and you can follow Phil at Phil Robinson. That's Phil with one L. I don't know if there's a spelling with two L's. But anyway, at Phil Robinson NFL. He is NFL media member for the Raiders and the founder of Out of Pocket Sports Talk. And that is at Out of Pockets PS. So go and check him out. It's good stuff. Always a pleasure to have him on. And that's going to do it for this Tuesday edition. Went a little long, but that's fine. No problem with that. We will have a brand new episode tomorrow, a special guest, and then, of course, Thursday, and that will be our first day of February of 2018. I will flip the calendar to the next month, say goodbye to January, Kelly, and hello to February. It was so great to see her back in the ring. Please come back full-time, Kelly. Barbara Blank, you are amazing. Probably will be for a long time my number one in my Celebrity 5. So anyway, that'll do it. So follow us on Twitter at FanShowOfficial. Go vote in the Super Bowl of all things rock and roll. Round 2 is live and kicking. And Instagram, The Fan Show. Facebook, facebook.com/FanShowOfficial. Don't forget, I was also nominated for an award, Entrepreneurship in Spokane, so you guys can go and vote for that. There's links everywhere in the platforms, or on the platforms that I said, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. When you go, select my show, The Fan Show, and then the next step, click Media, put in your email, and hit Submit, and we'll see if I win an award on February 15th. Home base for all things football and nonsense is, of course, thefanshow.com. So if you missed any of tonight's episode, you can catch all of tonight's episode and any others from the past in their entirety, subscribing in podcast form, iTunes, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. Visit Spreaker.com for listening live, if you can, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. And don't forget, your home base, where you can also listen live, is thefanshow.com. Catch a replay of this tomorrow, WBLZ Sports, amongst many other great sports programs that give you some football, nonsense, and everything in between. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.